Hi Sara, I thought I'd just do you a video to kind of show you where I'm at with your design for your patio. So I've been working out everything from the proper dimensions that we got from the measurements that I retook this week. And this is a model that I've been working up now, and I just wanted to run this by you to get your input. I think it would be good at this stage to see how you guys feel about this. So I've made this model. I think it really helps to kind of visualize it because all the angles and everything are really quite tricky. So this is obviously your building and all kind of drawn out to the correct scale and proportions. And the good thing about this is that now I've kind of built this up, we can sort of go through that kitchen sort of end wall and see how it would all look really once it's finished. So it's quite helpful, I think, just to sort of visualize it like this, because yours is very tricky with everything that's there existing and all the funny different levels and stuff. So hopefully this kind of makes things a bit clearer. Don't worry for now about the material choices and things here, because I know we were talking about using a porcelain, and you know you've got some ideas with Danny about exactly which one to use, and I'm not sure of the sizes and everything yet, so all of those details can come later. But really this was just to throw a few ideas out there for you about the overall layout right from the start. So if I go from an overhead view here, you can see how this might all work. Let me just move this one out of the way there. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone from the back of the house. I've got a little measuring tool here. I've gone, as we said, a minimum 5 metres. Have I taken that to 5? Yeah, well, 460 I've gone here until the front of the wall. Let me just bring this down again for you so you can see where that comes to. Right, let's try that again. Okay, so from the back of the house here, when I draw this line out, I've sort of, you know, gone to a little step there, 5 meters to a little step which you could perch on. And then what I wanted to do was really try and make sense of these shapes and angles. So from that sort of, you know, 5 meter patio going out, I wanted to come to the door width here and do an opening so that you don't feel too enclosed and you've still got that lovely view out with a kind of low level wall. So the low level wall you'll be able to perch on. We'll make that about 45 centimetres high to 50 centimetres high, which is just perfect kind of perching height. And I wanted to kind of get some kind of uniformity going, so I've played and played and played with this. I've done a 45-degree angle from both sides, and I've sort of made it so that each side is uniform. So if you measure this wall here, we're kind of 320 on this side and hopefully about the same on this side. Yeah, we're going to sort of 320 on that side as well. So the little piece of wall on each side of the door opening would be the same width, and then I've taken a 45-degree angle from there, and where it hits on this side, a little return to the extension here, and where it hits the wall here, kind of all makes it tie in together so that it's not just random shapes that we're throwing out. I think that's what I was most concerned about when I first came to view the plot, is that if we ended up with some kind of fairly random shapes going on, it could all look quite fussy and messy quite quickly. So that's all I've done. I know it looks very simple, but it's really just about making some kind of shape work. So I think this is going to work if we go off at the 45-degree angle, square across the front, and then depending on how these levels work out, I'm thinking by the time we've gone down to allow for the door, it would be really nice to get this shallow step up and possibly another one. I'm not sure because the lawn height kind of comes up a bit. So depending on whether this ends up as 1 or 2 steps, whichever way, I thought it would be really nice to have a landing area. So you don't want to step up 1 step and straight onto grass. So I think it's really important to have a little sort of landing area of stone cut into the grass. And really sort of nice is, let me just hide these way. What's really nice is to make sure that we kind of wrap that landing area around the wall that we've created. It just gives that kind of finishing touch. I think it makes it more sort of stylized and designery. Often there's a sort of mistake of sort of cutting steps short, and it just looks unfinished if it doesn't wrap around. So I'd be really keen to do that. Now that gives you a little opportunity to put some feature pots there, as you saw. So this is just an extra if you wanted to. And it just gives it that air of formality. It kind of marks the entrance to the steps, and I quite like that. You can put a bit of topiary and some posh pots, you know, and it will look really nice and sort of tie it all together. Then as an added sort of extra, I popped the wall in, which is all fine and dandy, and we can have that rendered, or as we talked about, we can take the porcelain up and around it. I quite like a rendered finish, and it will give it a little contrast as well, and we can tie it into the house. But I thought what might be quite nice, and this is just a suggestion, is that we could pop a little hedge behind it, a kind of row of clipped neat hedging, and that would almost give it a kind of backrest, not something that you would lean on, but it would just give you that little extra sense of enclosure. And I think it's quite fun to kind of have the sort of stone or rendered hard landscaping, and then a little bit of planting behind it. So first of all, I thought a planting bed behind that wall would be really nice, a little thin strip, and then I thought actually a nice kind of clipped hedge would look quite nice. So that's up for your kind of discussion and feedback, whether you want that or not. Obviously it works perfectly well as well if you decide not to have that. So there, if I just take that off on one side for now and you can have a look. So if you didn't have the hedge, it would literally obviously just be the wall that you're looking out at. Or if you did want to sort of do something a little bit extra, as I say, if I just pop that back in, then you could have this kind of double height kind of interest of two, you know, a block of hedging and then the block of a wall. So that's just a little idea there. Then I haven't drawn in sort of paving patterns or anything like that yet until we work out your exact porcelain that you're going for. But what I have done is played around with your furniture dimensions. I know your furniture doesn't look like this, but believe it or not, that is the kind of size that we've got, and measured up. You need at least 3 by 3 meters for this little fire pit set that you've got here. And I've allowed more than enough room there. Let's just check. Yeah, that's 3.2 with the chairs extended back, and the same on the other side. So it's quite good to be able to visualise how this will work for you. You will have room with this design, you know, even if you wanted to put all your furniture together. Not that you'd want to put it there, but you know, there is plenty of room. You can see you could go as far around as there, or up into the corner, or bring it round, you know. So I think we've got plenty of room there. And then this is your other set here, and again I've measured that up, so we've got well over the amount of space you need, which is 3.3. Yep, 3.3 there, and you can see there's space all around. So if you wanted to bring this even forward, it wouldn't feel too cramped, I don't think, even up here. So it's quite nice to be able to see that the new patio is going to be able to take all of your furniture. And then just as an extra touch, we had talked about taking the paving right up to the wall, and by all means you can do that, which would be like so. Ignore the planting there. But I just thought it might again be nice to pop in a little area of planting up against the wall. You've got that lovely kind of staggered tier effect of the planting that you've done. And I think it would be nice to sort of ground it with some nice shapes along the base here. So this is just a narrow border, but a few sculptural spheres, some grasses, and a little bit of low level planting. And I think that just kind of makes it, let me just show you sort of with and without. So if we were just to hide all of this, doop, 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 doop. like so, and hide those. You can see that it might almost become too big an expanse of paving. I know that's what you want, is that you want a nice big expanse, but can you see without planting, it's, you know, it is going to be a huge space, and I think, you know, it's good to be able to visualize it like this, because obviously at the moment it's quite unusable with the different levels, but you are going to have plenty of space. And when I saw it like this and how big that's going to be, I just thought perhaps, you know, a little bit of softness around the edges is needed. So let's pop that back in, and you can see how that looks. Yeah, I did that wrong because I should have put in the, let's do it this way, there you go. Yeah, so I just think that that just adds a nice little feature here, and we can pop some lighting in here, in amongst the plantings, so it will just give you a nice sort of ambience as you're sitting around the fire in this area. And then down here at the side here, I think if we can, it would be good to make this little slope running down, so that would help, wouldn't it? I think just to take that as a gradual slope going down to get the lawnmower in and out down the side. So that's the suggestion there. And then finally on this side, again, I think it's going to be surprising to you once we have all of this completely level, just how big a flat space you have. So, and I know that is the whole point of it, like I say, but once you've lost all these funny little drop downs and, you know, little bits where you fall off, it is actually quite a big expanse of paving, and I think it might need a little bit of greening up. So, I mean, there's an option here that you could have ground level planting and we can create some little borders, or if you don't want actually cutouts in the paving at ground level, you could just do some simple planters like this, some big grey steel or sort of lead planters, really smart, really tying in with the sort of grey work framework on your building. And I think that would just really tie the whole thing together and green it up. And likewise under here, once we get rid of that funny little edging with the gravel area that you've got at the moment, it might look a bit sparse if this is all just completely paved and no greenery. So my suggestion here is even to run a little bit of hedging or border under the window here, and I think that'll be nice to just soften this, and it gives you a nice transition from the widened driveway to the paving. I'm not sure here if there'll be a step up or a step down or anything, to be honest. I'm a little bit unsure because once we drop this down, it kind of looks like we might almost be at a level here. So I'm not sure. There might be a slight slope, and we can just ask Danny to sort of grade that down. And I also need to ask Danny about what kind of drainage. I know he talked about having drainage channels cut in all around the edge here, or having it actually commissioned and drilled out into the porcelain. I don't know if that's really necessary. I don't mind the little grills, the little stainless steel sort of grills round. I think they can look quite attractive actually. So as long as there is some drainage, you know, issues, solutions, then that's okay by me. And then finally, I think we can just work the new driveway off from the 45-degree angle and use a stainless steel metal edging to replace that wooden board, so you can have a nice clean sharp sort of grey effect, and it will tie in with the sort of grey on the house as well. I think that's everything. Oh, lastly, actually, I put in these stepping stones because obviously at the moment your stepping stones will be coming into a brick wall. So whether you want to lift them all of the existing ones, and fill that turf in and actually use the same porcelain that you'll be using for your new patio to create a new route up to the step. I think that's probably quite wise, and we can play around. You could, you know, I just sort of toy with coming out of the middle and sort of going straight across, but then it all looked a bit angular. So I've just kind of come straight along here and then put these at a slight curve just to link into the stone wall there. So that's kind of suggested shaping for that. And like I say, I think we should be able to. This is a little bit playing it by ear because I don't know exactly. We didn't, have all this surveyed, all the driveway and the exact curve of the hedge. This might come in a bit here and it's all a bit lumpy bumpy around here. But I think it will be a case of when this patio is built and we know all the angles, if we can come off at quite a straight edge and then it might be a curve round to the back. But I think we can form that a little bit on site. It's very hard to sort of plan that out exactly for the purpose of this. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. I think it would be really good to get your input and feedback at this stage before I go any further, just in case I'm way off track. Let me know your thoughts, any amends, or any kind of input that you want to make at this point, and we'll go from there. Okay, thanks, Sara. Catch you soon. Okay, bye.